Hello, hello, hello. This is Priscilla with Cilla Travel coming at you live from Summerville, South Carolina, which is about 25 minutes from downtown Charleston, coming at you on a sort of cloudy Saturday afternoon. And sorry, I'm a few minutes late, but I had technical difficulties. So I wonder if the weather interferes with electronics. I don't know. So, what I wanted to talk to you about today is the continent of Africa. I know I was planning on talking about the Gullah Geechee culture. However, something interesting happened to me this week. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. So what I want to do now is I just want to introduce myself. I am Priscilla with Cilla Travel, and I help you live the dream through travel. And for those of you who have never watched me before, I am a travel advisor. I am an independent travel agency owner, and I specialize in trips to Africa, the Caribbean, North America, and beyond. Hopefully, when the borders open up and we're no longer persona non grata, we'll be able to go other places. But right now, my focus is on Africa, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So, as you know, I have to check to see if I'm live on Facebook. So, housekeeping, if you want to make a comment, hashtag live. If you're tuning in on the replay, do hashtag replay. So hang on a second. I'm going to check over here on my mobile device to make sure that I'm live on Facebook over here. I don't want my Facebook audience to be left out because I'm streaming here, and sometimes these things just go crazy on you. And I'm checking right now. Let's see. It says it was scheduled to go live. Let's see if it's working. Who's there? Let me see. Comments. Can I see comments? Remember, hashtag live, hashtag replay. Let's see. Going on. Word that. Yep. Live and I am. On Facebook over here. Let me turn the volume down on my phone. Did you hear that? Yeah. See, I have to check on my mobile phone. So I'm going to put my mobile device down. So, Priscilla with Cilla Travel. And I just wanted to talk to you about Africa. Like I said, something really, really interesting happened to me this week. So, of course, you know, your girl always has slides. So let me just share my screen here. So it's a good thing I have a touch screen, because lately these things here, these technology things here, they just seem not to work like they're supposed to, you know? So come on now, let's start slide deck. Let's go. Start. Okay. It's the mouse. It's not one thing. It's the other. It's the mouse is not working. But here we go. There's just a delay. Here we go. Start the show. Woohoo! Whoa. So I'm going to get it, and I'm going to share my screen. And there we go. Now you see my slides. Wanted to talk to you about unbelievably breathtaking Africa, because that's exactly what it is. It's unbelievable. So many times we believe a lot of the things, we hear things growing up about Africa, and it's not actually the truth. So just to introduce myself, like I do every week, I do custom travel. I do custom end-to-end travel design and work with you to plan your vacation. I design travel experiences for you that you are going to talk about for years to come. Like I said before, I book luxury vacations in Africa, Caribbean, Mexico, and North America. I customize every aspect of your trip, and I also do groups. So I take all of that load off of your shoulders doing the groups, especially if it's, among family. It can be kind of hard when you're trying to manage your own family. Okay, so I take all of that off of your hands. I take care of the details so you can relax and focus on the fun. freedom. That's what you get. So actually hiring a travel advisor these days actually saves you money, especially with all this COVID stuff going on. It's really tricky trying to plan a trip. So what I wanted to talk to you about is we're actually members now of the AAHP, which is the Africa Association of Hospitality Professionals. So I'm a member of that, as well as the Association for the Promotion of Tourism to Africa. So I just started becoming active on the AAHP. We have a women's division or women's group here in the US, and I'm on that one. So you'll be hearing more about it later on as we go along. So what I wanted to talk to you about is Africa. It's not what we might have been led to believe all of the time. So let's start with North Africa, because we know that I'm planning a trip to go to Ghana. That is West Africa. And that is the area where the slave trade centralized, where they left from the people who were captives. They left from West Africa. But what we learned later on, they weren't just West Africans. Some of them actually, over the course of hundreds of years, maybe have come from the northern part or even the eastern part. They were captured and brought hundreds of miles across the continent, thousands, to be shipped off to the Americas. So as a part of the transatlantic slave trade. So North Africa. So we're talking about the Northeast Africa. I just wanted to go over a couple of things that I learned, because this week there was a group of tourism participants, like tour guides, transportation companies, agents, travel destination management companies. They've band together and they've come up with a organization called Our Africa Travel. And I got invited to this, and they had this week long, I believe it's going on continually. I was so surprised. I really didn't know what the invitation was. It's an online platform, since, everybody's spread apart and COVID is still a part of, we can't really meet now, in person. So there was this online platform, and there were all of these suppliers on this platform, and we got to meet each other, having like 15-minute conversations, exchanging information and on screen. So it was pretty awesome. We were able to connect, and of course they're 6 hours ahead, because the time zone is Central Africa time with this organization. So I was able to, get some things in there, figure some things out, and, block off some times. So it was quite interesting. So I met quite a few suppliers, and some of them I'm just going to talk about came from some places I may not have even considered. I've wanted to visit. Everybody wants to go to safari. That's the only thing that people know about. Safari. But Africa is a huge continent. The US could fit in it. Europe could fit in it. Several other continents could fit in the continent of Africa. It is so huge, and it is so diverse, and it's a rich continent, which is why everybody wants a piece of it. So Ethiopia is a country that I never considered for travel because, some of the negative connotations, things we see on TV, they're always showing Ethiopia in a really, really bad light. But Ethiopia is actually the first Christianized country in the continent. So actually, Christianity came to the continent of Africa before it even got to Europe. Isn't that something? So let's see. I'm not seeing any comments. So remember, one more housekeeping item. If you're on Facebook, be sure to grant StreamYard access to your Facebook account so that it'll show your name. Else I won't be able to see your name if you comment. So I'm checking over here again on my phone. Everything's looking good. So Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a place of ancient churches. So as I know, right? I've known about Ethiopia because I grew up in church. I'm a Christian person. So I know about Ethiopia because King Solomon had a son by the Queen of Sheba. She was a queen from Ethiopia, came to see how rich he was in Israel. And they actually had a child and a son. And they went back at some point, went back to Ethiopia. And he took Judaism with him. And from what legend says, he took the Ark of the Covenant as well. But in the New Testament, there was a eunuch from Ethiopia, and he came to Jerusalem for the festivals. I believe it was Passover. I don't remember what it was, but I know that they all came back to Jerusalem, all Jewish people and the proselytes, they came back to Jerusalem for the festivals and the feasts, Passover. And that's when Stephen met him on the road, and he was trying to understand the Old Testament. And he ministered to him, he baptized him, he got saved, and then he took Christianity back to Ethiopia. So that's the Ethiopian eunuch. So Christianity was in Africa before it even came to Europe. A lot of people don't know that. So there are a lot of ancient churches there. There are churches that are actually carved out of solid rock from the 12th century. This is just one of them that I'm showing you on the screen. Let me make that bigger so you can see it better. I think I have a touchscreen on this computer. Carved out of solid rock. So these are tours. These are some of the tours that they offer, where you can go and visit some of these places. It's got a lot of churches. It's got a lot of culture. It's got a lot of history. There's a lot of things happening. A lot of things that have happened throughout history in Ethiopia. And there are a lot of different groups of people, ethnicities of people who live there. So they've got cities. They've also got some remote areas where the people actually still preserve some of their cultural traditions in Ethiopia. So Ethiopia, you can also do trekking and adventure. These are the Simeon Mountains. They've got all sorts of tours where if you're an outdoors enthusiast and you like nature and you like hiking and doing things like that, this is something that might appeal to you. So there are a lot of different things that you can do. I had no idea in Ethiopia. So I'm definitely going to be looking at a tour to Ethiopia in the future. Definitely. I definitely would like to see some of these churches. Now we move on to Southern Africa. Okay, Southern Africa is where you see a lot of the safaris, right? There are safaris all over, but the type of safaris differ by the region. So for the traditional type safari, where you see most of it, where it's mostly wide open spaces, and that's a thing that people are into now with this COVID stuff going in. They want to go out and spend time in wide open spaces, where you're not crowded, spend time with nature. I love nature. I would love to do this. When I was growing up, I used to love watching The Animal Kingdom. I always loved National Geographic magazine, Jacques Cousteau. And then when I became an adult, I loved Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was my all-time favorite movie. I could watch it over and over, all of them, over and over and over. So in the southern part of Africa, there are several countries. It's not the country of South Africa that I'm talking about, but the southernmost part of Africa, where you see a lot of the unique wildlife encounter type tours or safaris. They're made up of camps. They usually have camps. Now, they're not all like you see on TV, like we used to see where you're in a tent, pitching a tent. Although if you want that kind of experience, you can definitely have it. Some of these camps are pretty luxurious. even if you're looking for the unique wildlife encounter that's possible, that thirst for adventure, you can, it's like a blend of the wildlife and culture, mainly in these countries: Zambia, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. These are the countries that are famous for having these types of safaris, although it's not an exclusive list, but definitely. So this is a map of the southern part of Africa, right? So we've got, here we go, Zambia, Zimbabwe, we've got Botswana, Namibia, and then down to the far south, we've had the Republic of South Africa. So my nephew was actually stationed in Botswana for a couple of years. He was in the Peace Corps, and because of COVID, he had to come back. So, and he absolutely loved it there. So this is the region that we're talking about, where these safaris go on. There are many more, but these are some of the safari areas where they're very popular for those type of safaris. So now next. Now, like I said, they are not all roughing it in the bush. So African Bush Camps, that's a company, and these are some of the images of their camps, although there are many. Some of these camps are quite luxurious. So here, as you can see, it's quite luxurious. You see you've got a server. This is where you would eat. It's luxurious. It's like a resort, but you're out in the wilderness or out in nature. And there are resorts out there. So the camps sort of resorts, but you're out in the open and close to nature. And some of these places, you can actually bring children. And some of the wildlife, you can see them just walking around. This is an example of a tent. And these tents, some of these tents have actual air conditioning in them and heat, because in certain time in the mornings, it gets quite chilly and then it gets warm. The climate is a little bit different than here, but as you can see, this is what one of the tents look like. As you can see, it's quite luxurious. Now we're going to talk about Zanzibar. We're going to go over a little bit to the coast, even though it's on the it's in southern Africa. It's sort of on the eastern coast of Africa, and it's off the coast of Tanzania actually, but Zanzibar, this is totally different. Here you go. You've got luxurious, lush beaches in Zanzibar. This is at a resort. This is the style of the resort. As you can see, that's like a bed, in there, sort of like a cabana style. It's actually quite beautiful in Zanzibar, quite luxurious. And that is another resort in Zanzibar. That's the style. This is a resort called Maya Bay on the beach in Zanzibar. Quite lovely. So as you can see, Africa is not like we may have been led to believe. So that's all I had for now. No, actually, it's not. This is just a break on how to work with me. If you're interested in any of these trips, what you do is you just get on my calendar, get a consultation. You go to the top of the screen, on Facebook. You go all the way to the top, click contact me. You can get a complimentary or a courtesy discovery call and get on my calendar. And then we discuss the type of trip that you would like, what your budget is, or what you feel comfortable paying. And if you start doing this now, you can actually plan an Africa trip for 2022. And those payments will be quite manageable. So they're not out of reach. They're not as unaffordable as we might be led to believe or think. But they're quite reasonable, but it all depends on what your budget is and what your expectations are. And you just work with me and I do the research for you. And then hopefully we enter into a travel services agreement and planning fee, because these days travel advisors get planning fees, or we ask for planning fees because we're professionals just like any other professional. A lot of work goes into putting a quote together, especially now. It could take hours or days to put it together. So last but not least, we have Tanzania. And that is a picture of Mount Kilimanjaro. That is the tallest mountain in the continent, or on the continent of Africa. So there's a better or closer look at it. There are lots of climbing, hiking tours in Tanzania. It's a place where people go to the Mount Kilimanjaro. They also have safari, but they're a little bit different than maybe the other part of Southern Africa. They're on the coast. It's more of an active lifestyle. And like I said, there are people who like to climb up to the top. There are guides who take people up there all year long. This is another view from Mount Kilimanjaro. I believe that's on the Kenya side of Mount Kilimanjaro. But as you can see, there's some elephants in their natural habitat in Tanzania. You can just be out there with nature. They have safari as well. It's just a different type. Let's see. And here we go. Another picture of safari. In the Range Rover, you can, they have these driving tours. Beautiful, beautiful landscapes. And they're not out of reach, you know, for the average person. All you do is you plan. If you can plan anything that you like and you can enjoy it. Plan your trip in advance, and it's actually affordable. Okay, so now on to our upcoming trips. This is just a reminder. Our Ghana trip is November 2021, and now that the country's open, I'm nailing that down. I was just speaking to some of the tour operators this morning or afternoon where they are, and we're just finalizing the dates and the times. I'm thinking we're looking at the week of Thanksgiving, because we tried to find a time that is not as expensive, because if you go during or close to Christmas, things are more expensive, number one. And November is really a good time to go, because let's say you've got some college students, they're able to take that week off, because finals generally don't happen until December when they get back, the beginning of December, mid-December. And then you still have your Christmas. So that's what we're looking at, but more to come on that. And then the Invest in Ghana trip, that's a future trip. I'll be talking about that a little bit later, because there are some people who are interested in investing in Ghana in light of Ghana welcoming people of the diaspora, especially African Americans, back to the country to either invest there or even move there. There are some people who have shown interest and have wanted to relocate there, or maybe acquire dual citizenship. And the country of Ghana has been welcoming. They've actually welcomed African Americans. So if you remember, around the time of George Floyd's murder, they actually made like the news, and they were saying, "Come back home, African Americans, come to Ghana." So there are people who are interested. So we'll be talking about that later. But I just wanted to come on briefly today and just give everyone an overview of Africa, because many times we just don't have the right idea about Africa, you know. So I wanted to give everybody some ideas to think about, think about visiting Africa, especially if you're African American, because we generally don't learn anything about our African heritage. We learn Western civilization. We know all about that. And of course, we learn American history. But African history is a mystery. But it is a huge continent. And there's actually quite a lot going on right now. And there'll be more trips coming up. And just get on the list. I will post the information in the broadcast afterwards for the links to get on the list for the Ghana trip, as well as a link to the Ghana itinerary. If you're on Instagram, you can go all the way up to the top, look at the bio, and you'll be able to see a link to get on the wait list, as well as a link to the itinerary. So that itinerary is what I'm finalizing with our tour operators in Ghana. So we can start putting the payment plan out there and nailing down exactly what we're going to be doing now that the country is open. So September 1st, hopefully the borders will open to international tourists. And hopefully we'll be able to go. But our trip is well over a year from now. So by that time, everything should have pretty much settled down. They're talking about some new types of COVID testing where it's inexpensive and people can do like these rapid tests themselves, these kits. I'm like, wow, that would be something if they were to come up with something like that, because our testing here is kind of slow and it's very difficult at this point in time when you're trying to travel, especially if you're in an area where there are a high number of cases. The processing of those tests is slow. So to visit many countries that are open right now to American citizens, and U.S. is considered a high-risk country, you have to take a COVID-19 test before you go. So the Dominican Republic actually reopened a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and they're actually not as strict. So with them, you just need to have a test within, I think it's 5 days. You have to have a test done within 5 days, and you bring that with you. You still apply for the health visa. There's a form. You bring that form. If you hire me, I would do all of this paperwork for you. And then when you go, they're going to give you a test when you get there. And you have to have this form. You certify that you don't believe that you have the disease, have COVID-19, and then you produce your contact information. So in case they need to do any contact tracing, they can contact you. So the Dominican Republic is open for travelers. There's no 24-hour test you need to have it in, because that's really unreasonable. It's almost impossible to have a test performed and have your result in 24 hours. So a lot of these countries are asking, they're requiring you to submit your test 24 hours before you fly there. But the test itself, some are requiring 48 hours. The test have been taken and have your result within 48 hours. Some are 36 hours. Some are 72 hours. Some are 4 days, like Saudi Arabia, and Dominican Republic is giving you up to a week. Not saying that you have a week to submit that test result. It's just that test that you take, it must have been performed and you have your result within a week. This is just for the DR, but things can change at any point in time before you go. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, just coming at you live, just sharing with you a little bit that's going on in Africa and with our company. We are focusing more on Africa travel. That's a market that is sort of untapped, especially in the African American community. Now, I don't know about you, but I am really curious, and I have always wanted to go on a safari, and it's not out of reach. It's not something that you can't go on where it's cost prohibitive. If you work with a travel advisor like me, if you hire me, I work with your budget on the things that you would like to do. So just think about it. Just think about all the things that we throw money away on. If you plan anything, you can afford it. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, and signing off. I'm glad that you tuned in to listen to me today, and I'm glad to have you come and watch my channel as I talk about travel. And most recently, we're talking about African travel. That's the next biggest thing, the next biggest place, or places, because the continent is huge for people to visit. Wide open spaces, lots of social distancing. and you're able to enjoy nature. You can even roll some luxury in there. In countries like South Africa, they do have some like wine tours, things of that nature, a little bit more Western influences because of colonization, the groups of people that came there. It was like a big melting pot. So there's so many things that you could do in Africa, and I will be bringing those things to you, and I will be informing you and showing you that Africa is not as backwards as we may have been led to believe, or maybe we just had those images in our minds from our childhood because we didn't really have good images when we were growing up. But Africa is the place to be. It's a lush place. It's got lots of things for you to do, as well as culture and returning to your roots. But I want to go a little bit farther than that because I've got quite a few countries in my DNA mix there. So I've got some Bantu, like Southern and Central Africa in there as well. Even some hunter-gatherer DNA, the Khoisan. That's so cool. But this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel. Remember to like this channel, like my Facebook page, Cilla Travel. Share this video. Come back, check for the links. If you're interested in the Ghana trip, there will be a lot more. I'll be rolling it out shortly. Get on the list, get on the wait list, and then you will be sure to know everything about the trip as soon as I know it. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel signing off, telling you to have a wonderful rest of your Saturday afternoon. Bye-bye.